I started doing this practice because I needed to save myself, you know. I was not doing very well. So I was standing in my room in New York one day, and I was struck by the understanding that if I did not sing with people, and it was very much with people, that I would never clean out the dark corners in my own heart. And the understanding was that it's only that stuff that was causing trouble. Otherwise, there's no problems anywhere. So I had to start singing. It wasn't so easy, you know, because
singing with people
with
was
people,
different.
chanting with people, yeah. I wasn't doing anything, you know, at that time. I was very depressed, very unhappy. And so I started singing with people little by little.
Tell me about the first time you felt that joy from singing, because you say you had dark corners, you were unhappy.
Well,
how did it happen?
The first time I felt that joy from singing might be next year sometime. You know, the joy comes from just being released from your normal bullshit. You know, the stuff that goes on all day, all night. The stuff you're always involved with, thinking about yourself, thinking about what you're doing, thinking about what you want, how to get it, you know, all that stuff that we do all day long. So these practices, they release us from the grip of all that obsessive thinking. And that's so wonderful.
And it brings you inside.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, you could say that it brings you inside. But it also expands you, you know. It also kind of, because you're, instead of being like this, you're just kind of like, you know. And then the thoughts stop grabbing you so deeply and for so long. And you begin to get some vote as to how you go through the day. Normally we don't have any vote. We're reacting all the time to everything. And we're happy when the reactions are nice, and we're unhappy when the reactions are not so nice. But we don't get any vote about that. So the idea is, how do you get a vote? How do you get some say in how you react and how you deal with people? When people approach you with negativity and judgments and stuff like that, you know, you're going to, you know, you don't have to do that. Because you do that and it just goes on forever. So after a while you start seeing that everybody's stuck in their own projections as well as you are, and that people cause pain out of their own pain. And there's no reason to increase that. You know, you can just kind of, by not reacting, by being present, by understanding that they don't want to hurt anybody, but they just can't help it. So then you just let it pass through. You don't grab it. And that helps them and it helps you. And the better you get at it, then, you know, the more you practice and the more you see things more clearly, the more wide open your life is, you know, and the less obsessive and compulsive it is. You know, it's a whole different way of going through the day, actually.
Can you tell me a little bit about the power of the words when you sing, the power of the mantra?
Well, they say that every repetition of one of these names carries a magnetism, juice, you know? And it's like planting a seed. And those seeds will grow. These are, everything we do is an action, right? And if our actions are obsessive, compulsive, and forced, and dark, and then we're planting those kind of seeds. But with this practice, and any spiritual practice, you're planting different kinds of seeds. And those seeds will grow too. It takes time though. And, but every, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that every little bit, it's like we're being washed down the river and over into the ocean, Every little bit of effort that you make to go against that grain is a really big thing. Because usually we're just unconscious all the time. So any effort you make to wake up is a tremendous thing. Most people, they don't even know it's possible, right? So they just keep creating more suffering for themselves all the time.
So is it the biggest thing you can do for yourself and others?
Sure. The biggest thing you can do for other people is to work on yourself, and the biggest thing you can do for yourself is to help others.
Was it the serving Maharaji was talking about?
Mm-hmm. Any kind of service, any kind of not thinking about yourself all the time is good. Whether it's feeding people, helping somebody across the street, sharing something with somebody. There's all kinds of service, I mean, whatever it is, it means it's not self-centered action. And you're not even doing that service so that you could feel better.
Yes,
because that's just
exactly.
more ego bullshit.
Yes.
Look at me, look, I do so much service.
I'm so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because really, ultimately, they say, God is the doer. We think we're doing things. But really, we're not. It's just happening through us. But this is a very deep realization that comes over time. And it's a kind of freedom once you really experience that you don't even really exist at all as a separate, permanently separate entity. And through the repetition of the name, which is what I do with people, that sense of separateness kind of gets melted down a little bit, it disappears a little bit more and more as time goes on.
Yet you say that if you sing in front of 1,000 people or one people,
Mm-hmm.
for you it's the same.
Very much the same. I mean, I'm aware, of course, that there's more people or less people. I'm not dead to the world, but in terms of what I do, it's the same. I keep just trying to pay attention and repeat these mantras, these names, and do my practice. And, you could say there's more energy in the room with 1,000 people, but that doesn't mean that you'll be able to pay better attention. It might mean that it's a distraction. Wow, this is so great, everybody's dancing, isn't this fantastic? Well, you're not paying attention. So it's tricky.
It is.
It's not entertainment, it doesn't matter if people, I'm not really that concerned whether people enjoy it or not, because this is planting seeds. It's not about that moment only. Last night, many seeds were planted, and the more a person is wholeheartedly singing, the deeper and the seeds are planted. If somebody's just sitting there like, they're planting seeds, but they may be throwing them on concrete instead of in the soil. So they may not grow. Some of them may, some of them may not.
It's a collective prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a collective prayer.
It's a collective prayer, but it's individual too,
Mm-hmm.
And being with people, this practice is done with people because they say even hearing the name is a blessing. I mean, now we're getting into the esoteric Indian stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't even talk about that much. But they say even hearing the name is a blessing. Not just repeating it, and when you're repeating it, you're hearing it inside. But when you sing it outside, everybody's hearing it, so that's also service. Because even hearing these names is planting a seed of some kind inside of you. So it's great, it's a good thing to do. It's a helpful thing to do. Even if people don't understand it, and even if I don't understand it, because really, do I understand what's going on? No, not really. I just know that this is what I have to do for myself. And, you know, I always joke around that I do this to save my own miserable ass, you know. But the definition of my ass has changed over time. It's gotten wider. So everybody's kind of included in that.
Yeah, multiple asses. Yes,
Only one big ass, that's all.
Only one big ass.
So it's yeah. There's a lot going on that we're also outwardly directed, you know. All we do is see everything we think and feel and see. It's all about the outside.
I know.
Information comes from our eyes, our nose, our skin, our ears, taste. We don't see or experience the one that's seeing through our eyes or hearing through our ears. And that's where these names take us. They take us into our true being, into our deepest being. But if it happens too fast, you know, they put you away because you forget, you know, you can't keep your life together. So that's not a good thing necessarily.
But how can you be inside and outside in the action and yet completely focus inside?
Well, when you're really doing your practice intensely, it's probably a good idea not to be driving, you know. But other times you can always remember, you know. You don't have to close your eyes and be like this. You can be driving along and singing, and a part of your mind is always there. They always use the image of a village woman walking with a big pot of water on her head, right? Mm-hmm. So she's nursing her baby, she's talking to her friends, but she's also always aware that that pot's there. She doesn't have to like stop and think about it. She's able to walk and do other things. But part of her mind is always on that pot, otherwise it's going to fall. And that's they say about these practices, that you should always keep something going like that. But that's not easy, we forget. So you need periods of intense practice where you kind of really let go of everything, all the daily stuff, and really try to do some, you know, get in there deeper.
And then try to balance.
No, you don't have to try to balance. You just do your practice and live your life. Don't hold on to any experience. Don't try to stay high. Don't try to stay inside. Do your practice and then go live. And don't worry about it. There's nothing to think about. You don't have to understand anything. Do your practice. It will change your life from the inside. You can't help it. If you're doing that, you're actually slowing everything down. You're gumming up everything. You just sit or sing and then live your life and try to be a good person. Because why do we do these practices? Really, to become complete good human beings.
Yes.
Not to go bodily to heaven. We don't even know if there is a heaven. So we do these practices to get the strength to overcome our limitations, to clean our hearts and become good people in this world. That's what these practices do. And they do that and more. But that's step one, you know, which should take about 4 billion lifetimes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.